Okay, hello and welcome to Solving Systems by Substitution, the introduction. So today we are taking a break from our packet to just introduce solving systems by substitution before we get into it full bore next week. So I have some notes that I did on my own and I uploaded them underneath the video on the Moodle page. So if you're looking for them, they'll be underneath there. So what we're going to do is we're going to do just the basics today and some step-by-step. So if you're solving systems by substitution, what that means is that instead of graphing two equations and finding out where they cross, we're going to use algebra to figure out where they would cross if we did graph them. So steps for doing this are as follows, and we're going to use these steps as we go. So step one is going to be to solve one equation for either x or for y. So if you take a look at the system that you have in the example here, one of the two equations is going to be shorter than the other here. And it'll say either x equals or y equals, and if not, you have to solve. Well, they've already done this right here. We have y equals 3. And if you're writing your notes, you want to say, okay, we want it to say either x equals a number or y equals a number. And it does here already. So we get to skip right to step 2. Step 2 then is going to be to substitute that number, substitute your number into the other equation. So we have y equals 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this 3 and we're going to put it into the top equation where y is. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite this. We really now have 2x minus 3 times 3, because that's what we're writing in for y, equals negative 1. Right? Once you've done that, step 3 is to simplify if you can. And by simplify, a lot of times that means that there's going to be something in here that can be multiplied together to make the equation shorter. Okay? So in this case, 3 times 3 can be multiplied together. So we really have 2x minus 3 times 3 is 9 equals negative 1. Great. Now, step 4 should look familiar to us. We haven't done this in a while, but step 4 is going to be to solve. And when we solve these, the way that most of us recognize is use a chart to solve it. Okay, so if you still don't know what I'm speaking of, you probably will as I go. Use a chart means make the line down the equal sign. Put x on the left and numbers on the right. Remember, our rule for the chart is if you cross the line, you have to change the sign to the opposite. So 2x belongs in the x category. We will keep that positive. 9 belongs over here on the number side. So instead of negative 9, we'll change that to a positive. Negative 1 belongs on the number side. We'll keep the negative since we didn't jump the line. Okay, let's add these up. 2x plus nothing is 2x equals 9 plus negative 1 is 8. And remember, our last step here is to divide. So we're going to divide this side by 2 to cancel it. Divide by 2 over here, and we get x equals 4. Okay, now we actually have everything we need to write our answer. Don't forget that our answer, the solution to a system, is if we were to graph these two, where would they cross? And they're going to cross on a graph for an ordered pair. So our last step is to write an ordered pair. Remember, that's when we have a parenthesis in the x value, comma, y. Okay? So our solution for our first example, and I'm going to write the word solution so that we remember. Our solution is going to be, our x was 4, comma, y is 3. So what that means is that had we graphed these out, they would cross at the point 4, 3, and that's where they would intersect. So basically, we're just doing the same thing we have been doing, except for we are skipping the graphing part. We're just using algebra to figure it out. Okay, let's do another example just to hammer things home. Okay, example 2. Solve this one using algebra. So here's the thing. This is different now in that we don't have just y equals 3 or x equals 3. We have to figure out what something is. So our short equation, our quick equation, is 2x equals 6. So we have to figure out what x equals before I can substitute it. So this is a fast one. In order to figure out what x is, 2 times what number equals 6. So we divide by 2, x equals 3. We had to start that way. Now we're going to go through our steps again. Once we have x equals 3, we're going to substitute that number into our other equation. So it's going to go in to the x this time because we solved for x. So let's rewrite. 3 minus 2y equals 11. Step 3, simplify. Is there anything that can be multiplied together here to make it shorter? In this case, this time, no, we can't. There's nothing we can multiply together to make it shorter. So we're going to skip step 3 and go to step 4. We're going to solve it or use a chart. So we're going to draw our line down the equal sign. We're going to make the left side y, the right side number. Okay, 3 belongs in the number category. Let's make it negative 3 then because we jumped the line. 2y is negative and it stays here. 11 stays in our number side and it's positive. We're going to keep it positive. Let's add these up. Negative 2y plus nothing is negative 2y. And negative 3 plus 11 is 8. And our last step is to divide. We get y equals negative 4. Okay, we have every piece of information we need. So the question is, where would these two graphs cross on a coordinate grid? So our solution is x we figured out is 3, comma, y we figured out is negative, ooh, you can't see that. Y we figured out is negative 4. Okay, and that's it. So, I copied the homework to the back side of this, so if you're watching at home and you want to download it, it's right underneath the video. The back side of the notes looks like this. There is one thing I'd like you to change on there, and that is on the very first question, it says y equals 6x. We're going to change that y to a 42, just for now, because we will learn how to do that later, but for today we're just going to introduce ourselves to this. Okay, if you have further questions, please come see me either before school or at lunch. Have a great day.